Welcome to the Obstacle Dominator podcast, the show for athletes who want to become their best and inspire others in the process. Here we're going to dive deep into training tactics, race strategy, nutrition, mindset, and everything required to dominate the course and your life. Whether you're tackling your first race or already standing on podiums, this is where you can level up. There is always room for improvement, and it is time to push through those barriers and step it up a level, breaking both the physical and the mental walls to keep progressing. I'm your host, Matt Roberts, OCR athlete, coach, and guide to those committed to becoming healthier, happier, stronger, faster, to maximize their human potential now and always. I'll also be joined by the coaching team who are walking the walk, competing, staying current, and holding themselves to excellence. They are leading by example to inspire others to rise. We also bring on guest speakers who share real stories, real lessons, and proven methods that deliver results in performance, health, and mindset. Let us begin. Hello, Sarah Jane.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Excellent.
Good.
Welcome. We don't do many in-person live podcasts, so this
privileged.
Yeah, so it's great to have you on here. I know we spend a lot of time together, train, eat, race,
Spa.
Yeah. So yeah, we know each other very well. But many of the people listening to this, watching this, don't. And I feel like this is a great opportunity to talk about yourself, talk about your journey within racing. If you want to touch on anything deeper and more personal than that, then by all means. But yeah, so let's begin. Let's talk about how we found one another, how you found Primal, but even before that as well, what got you interested in obstacle course racing, and yeah, what have you been doing in terms of your fitness pursuits over the years, and yeah, what have you achieved this year, and where do you feel like things are going for you?
Yeah, so I've always been into my fitness, always been an outside girl, climbing trees, playing in grass, that kind of thing. Actually went on a hen party for one of my sister's friends to an obstacle play park and just fell in love with it. I think I was the only person that wasn't just messing about. Flying over the walls, doing the monkey bars, and yeah, had a really good time. Then started working there. Worked there for about 6-7 years.
So your first experience as OCR was dressing up in pink, running around with candy penises.
I wish. Wasn't actually. We were dressed up as old ladies. We all went to like charity shops and just brought random old lady clothes and did the obstacle park. But yeah, fell in love with it from there. And then I think it was about, what was it, last summer or earlier last year in 2024 that I noticed some bearded fella running around the playground, and I was like, who is that? Like flying over walls. And then yeah, read on the back of his vest, Primal Fitness. So obviously went to social media and it went from there.
Nice. Yeah, the playground has been a phenomenal place, and it's unfortunate the place here in Bury St Edmunds, or just outside Bury St Edmunds, has recently just closed. But I think I remember going there from like 2018. So we're looking at 7 years now that that place has been opened, and now it's not there. People are moving in different directions, but it's brought many people together over the years. So it's been a phenomenal place. And even now there's been recent changes with the playground, and there's a new venue open, and another one opening with a boot camp local as well. But yeah, the community feel is a big thing, and it's brought our small group of people in this area together, which has been phenomenal. And yeah, bringing more people into our circle to train on the track and get out running in nature and doing more OCR based stuff. So it's a shame that place is no longer there, but onwards and upwards. We've got a new venue to train at, which is under the same company,
and we're looking at branching out a little bit more potentially to another place as well. So yeah, it's all good. So how long had you worked at the playground for after initially going there?
So I've been there for 6 years now. Occasionally still do the odd bit here and there, but main focus is my other job and training, really. Yeah.
Sure. And just for people that don't know what the playground is, the playground is an obstacle course. Up until recently, there was 3 of them, but now there's only 2 because one of the venues has moved. So there's one in the Cambridge area and now one in the Ipswich area. So both in the east of England, under the same brand, under the same company. So definitely check them out. They do a lot of corporate events as well. And I believe British obstacle sports are actually getting more involved in them to help further improve the centres as well. So if you're in the east of England, then certainly reach out and have a chat with us about that. Cool. So I think for you and what I've known over the past year as well, like your obstacle game's been pretty good because you've been teaching it for a while. Like you say, 6 years you've been working at an obstacle course, so you know the techniques. You teach it for hours every weekend, so that had good crossover. But where do you feel like things have pivoted and changed and improved in the past year?
I think, to be honest, joining Primal has really changed things because it's about learning different techniques, different ways around things, what needs to actually switch in terms of like my physique and everything else to be able to make the movements that I make. There was times, I can teach obstacles to people ranging from like 5 years old all the way up to, I've had 80-year-olds out on that course before, which is absolutely incredible. A wide array of people out on the field, but you teach people very similar ways, like you say, for hours every weekend. So there wasn't really a lot of variety. Whereas when Primal came along and I learned things from yourself, Mitch, the rest of the team, it kind of flipped things for me because I was like, okay, there are more ways of doing it. You don't have to do it this way. You don't have to do it that way. Because I used to see people come and train and I'd be like, okay, I need to do it that way. But that didn't work for me. Especially like take monkey bars, for example, or the rings. There's a couple of parts of that I can't quite get to grips with. And there was ways that you taught me and I was like, actually, hang on, this works. So over the year, that's kind of been the main focus, is making things effective, but my way, like the way that I can do, and perfecting that.
Sure. And I think that's one aspect of it, just talking about the physicality. You mentioned body composition as well. So we're looking at the power to weight ratio, which has drastically improved over the you're not saying it was in a bad place, but like it's improved in terms of that percentage, that ratio. But then there's also another piece, which is the mindset, which actually I think was the most limiting factor sort of 12 to 18 months ago, because you had the ability to do the obstacles and you were well versed and well drilled and even teaching them, but there was a few, I don't know, limitations, I suppose, and maybe they were just self-imposed. But then when you saw that there were other ways, or actually you dissected an obstacle down into numerous parts rather than, and this is a great metaphor for life, rather than looking at the whole distance, breaking it down into just the next step and then building from there, rather than going, right, I've got to make it to the end, otherwise it's obstacle failure. So what's your perspective on that?
I think that's definitely right. I think there was a lot of barriers in my way that I've been breaking down this year. And I think I've always looked at like the end goal. But like breaking it down like bit by bit. And I mean, that goes into my personal life as well as my training and my fitness. So it's definitely something that's been improved this year and definitely worked on.
Great. Yeah. And I remember actually must have been about a year ago, talking about the monkey bars. I mean, you could do the monkey bars, but the way the monkey bars are set up at the playground, or were set up at the playground, were much like the monkey bars at Pippingford Park this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them's low, one of them's high, high, low, and then spaced out a little bit further. So takes technique and the strength to be able to do that, but then also talking about the mindset pieces as well. I found a year ago you were getting in your head too much.
Yeah.
And that was the limitation, not the physicality. It was actually, oh, I can't do this. So yeah, what's shifted in terms of like the self-talk and belief and the overall mentality in regards to training and also racing now?
I think it's just having a better mindset and actually believing in myself and my ability. I think being part of a like great community helps with that, because it's having people around you that see what you're capable of doing and push you to your limits and push you past your limits. I think before that, I didn't really have, I wouldn't say the right people around me, have the right people around me at the right times. But no one really pushed me. So it's easier to just be like, nope, can't do it, give up, don't worry, like I'll do it next time or something like that. Whereas even the training days that we do, everyone's like, no, you're gonna do it, like let's go again. Which helps, because it's like not giving up. It's like me not giving up on myself, but then the team not giving up on us as individuals. So I think that's very valuable. I think that's something that's helped me over the past year specifically.
Yeah, I was actually sat down earlier doing some of the online stuff for the new school community, and with the actual team community, I was looking at what are the benefits and what are the immediate performance enhancers for, well, being part of a community, and the list is vast. And even thinking back to the military, like you get more out of one another when you're in that tribe, because each person will have a strength and another person may not have that attribute or skill, but they will help and enhance one another. Whether that's just a motivational comment or leading and showing or understanding how that person operates or how they like to be coached or need to be coached, whether they need more of a hard approach or whether they actually just need more patience and time. And it's really fascinating to see that within the community. But that is the benefit of community. You don't just draw on your own knowledge and just persevere through the training, through self-guided information, which I've done for numerous years when I've been training, and many other people do that. And I think at some points that's essential, because we obviously need to get up and go train and start integrating into a routine. And also, if you find a program or a coach or a community, making sure that they slowly integrate that in. I spoke to a guy last week and he was like, okay, I'm really lazy, I work at home and blah, 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 blah. And firstly, I addressed his mindset. And then he's like, well, I'm thinking of going and like running 5 days a week straight away. And it's like, well, it's probably not going to be the best idea when you're doing nothing right now. So I broke it down, like we were just saying, with a mentality. What's the next thing that you can do? What's going to be really, really beneficial? So it's just having the support from other people to give you that third person advice, and then you can build on it more and more from there. But yeah, community is absolutely essential, and we say this on the group calls as well, as like you're not there to learn just solely from the coaching team, because that's merely one perspective from their experience and their knowledge. But then what we done on Monday's call was go, okay, what are the wins and what are the successes and what are the lessons learned from the race weekend? And then you've got 10, 15 people that are all offering it through a call or through the wins, gratitudes and focuses. And providing we read through them, we can draw strength and wisdom. There's a great quote that I reference often, and it's something along the lines of, a wise man learns from his own mistakes, but an even wiser person learns from the mistakes of others. So, for example, drawing wisdom from other people's perspective, and yet again talking about those immediate performance enhancers. So yeah, went off on a bit of a tangent. Is there anything you want to add on that at all?
Yeah, I want to touch on what you said about like learning from other people within the tribe, because in any tribe, like no one is the same. Everyone will have different strengths, weaknesses, and stuff like you say, but it's like everybody is there for a reason. And I think it's valuable to look at like why each person. Like I've got some of the guys that are in the States that will check in with me straight after the race, like whether it's the same day or the following day. They'll pop me a message over and be like, right, how's it going? Or they'll message me before and be like, I know you're gonna smash it, like let's get it done. And it's little things like that. And like you say about the wins post that we do every week, we're on there. It gets more in depth every time. People put their challenges and stuff, and there's just, yeah, it's just that family feel, it's that community vibe. And I think that sets Primal aside from a lot of other things, because you know, you can get involved with the team, you know about people's lives, you know about where people are coming from, their race experience, their knowledge. And obviously like the coaching team is great, but then you've basically got like a massive coaching team, because although not everyone's like personal trainer or like qualification, it doesn't matter. Everyone's got experience, everyone's got a background in it.
Yeah, I'd argue as well that throwing this out here, the guys that have been with us 3 or 4 years probably have more knowledge than most personal trainers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Nothing against personal trainers, by the way.
I'm a personal trainer.
I'm technically qualified as one.
Yeah.
Yeah, not slating them.
Yeah, what we're just saying is that there's more depth than just the basics.
Yeah.
Something we commonly hear from people on the outside and people that have been with us a period of time is the overall perception of what the team is, who they are, what they stand for, how they conduct themselves. So take yourself back to when you was looking in from the outside. What was your perspective of the team, Primal Fitness, the coaches, what you saw on social media, and be brutally honest?
I was going to say, do you want me to be honest?
Of course I want you to be honest.
I'm trying to sell these podcasts.
Yeah, so start there and then we'll...
In all honesty, when I first started looking into it, because obviously, like I said, saw you at the playground and didn't have a clue who he was. I was like, he's running around the course, he knows what he's doing. You didn't need to interact with any of the playmakers, which is what we're called. So I was like, okay, like who is this guy? So you knew what you were doing. Like you could see like flying over like obstacles and doing everything how you needed to do it. And I remember initially I just kind of shrugged it off, and I was like, all right, let him crack on, let him do his thing. And I don't think that we even really spoke to each other for like the first couple of sessions. And I actually remember speaking to Jack over the weekend, because I think he showed us a picture from like 2019 or something. And I said, I was like, pretty sure we must have crossed paths before last year. But initially I was just like, okay, who are these guys? Fine. It's just another coaching team. Like it's just another, training program. And then the more I kind of looked into the social media content and the website, and I was like, no, these are my kind of people. Instantly I thought to myself, like, I need to do more research. I need to know who they are. And then, like I say, the more I read about it, the more I looked into it. I watched stuff that you'd been posting. Knew I needed to be involved and part of the team.
So what was your perception? So, like first impressions, what word or sentence springs to mind when you saw a group of us or just me at the obstacle course?
I can't remember, to be honest. I think it was that long ago that I can't actually remember, but I just remember you flying over the obstacles. So I was like, okay, he knows what he's doing. Didn't need to like bother you because you were just there doing your thing.
Got you. And then, I mean, fast forward to, well, now, and thinking of the way you viewed things from the outside to now how you've experienced things for a year on the inside. Do you feel like that what you first glanced at was the truth, the reality of actually what we do within the community and team and coaching? Or do you feel like there's a difference in terms of the perception from where you were to where you are now?
I think it's a lot more expansive than what I first thought. When I first sort of like saw you, and like I said, I can't remember if you was on your own or if you were with others that time, but I think initially I thought, oh, it's just another team, it's just another program. But it is a lot more expansive. There's a lot more involved in it. It's about this overall health and mindset and everything else, as opposed to just training. In fact, it's more the sleep, the nutrition, mindset than the training. Like obviously, everything plays a massive part, but if you don't have everything in line, none of it's going to work. So yeah, it's more expansive. It's a lot more in depth than what I initially thought it was going to be.
And with that, do you feel like it's been manageable, or do you feel like you've been overwhelmed by all of the different options, possibilities?
No, I think it's really manageable. I think it's just a lot of the stuff I was sort of doing anyway. I'm quite, I don't know, I wouldn't say lucky, but I'm quite happy that I've always enjoyed good food. Like I said, the nutrition side wasn't a massive shift for me. Sleep's relatively always been on point, so that's fine. Fitness has always been a part of my life, but it's easy to bring it into life through the way that the coaches put it and the support from the community. Everything's broken down and you get the reasons why, like the how, the why thrown into everything, so you know the benefits behind it.
Sure. And the reason I'm asking these questions is because, well, it's a great opportunity to speak to you because you are very immersed within the lifestyle, the team, the community, and really walking the walk of, well, going out there and applying absolutely everything I've said to you before out of many, many people in our close circle. Like, you've evolved significantly over the past year. And that's not just down to the physicality, that's through your mentality, and then other aspects of life and how you've developed there. So it's really good to hear your perspective of how you see things and how you're experiencing them, because yeah, it's interesting speaking to other members like Paul Ellis springs to mind. The perception of like the team is very different from the outside to when you're actually on the inside. But the thing I'm curious about is like, why is that? Like, why do people view the team in, I don't know, such a way, a bad light, or whatever that may be? Is it, I don't know, the dark clothing? Is it me? But this is some of the stuff that we dive into more as well, is actually looking at, well, the emotions and trauma and where that really stems from and why we're emotionally triggered by things, people, situations, places. So why I'm mentioning this is to, well, highlight awareness, really, like self-awareness. And a big thing I've been speaking about online is actually talking about that awareness of what is the root, where does that come from? Like, where do the thoughts come from? Where do the feelings come from? Where do the emotions come from? And with an OCR, it's a very competitive sport, and I want to touch on like the passion side of that, due to competitiveness, and me and Mitch in particular, because there's been numerous times over the years. I'll say this year's very different for the most part, like 99% of it. But when we're contesting things in races, kind of, I feel like the military commander past has a tendency to come out, and yet again talking about perception. And this is actually something I've been working through personally over the past couple of years, because I could say something very directly and very assertively, but actually I mean no harm by that. I'm just merely being passionate. And the same for Mitch. But how that's received through their own perception is very, very different. And then that can be twisted and turned and manipulated and whatever else. Numerous races where I've, I don't know, shouted back at a volunteer to challenge the rules or whatever been enforced, and people take it the wrong way and see it as threatening. But if they were to see our internal world when we were doing that, it's because we care about our people, we care about our own results. So there's been a shift and change, because now it's understanding that, and I've only been out the military 5 years. So it is an unlearning of certain behaviors of, what people are like in, I'll say, like the civilian walk of life and how sensitive they are. But with that, I am resensitizing so that I can be more like that versus more military and robotic. And I think that helps me relate more and more.
But I think, just touching on that though, I think that's potentially where you say about people's perception of primal. Obviously, if people don't like it, it's definitely something sort of like within them. But if people are seeing you, well, what appears to be arguing with a marshal or a volunteer, is that maybe why people are like, oh, because they're seeing that, and it's like, no, like, it is just passion. It's like, I'm questioning it because I know the rules, like I know what I'm doing. Like you and Mitch, for example, and like a number of the other guys have done this for so long, for years and years. You've done enough races, you know what the rules are, you know what the standards are.
We should do.
We should. Maybe not all the time.
I'll give you an example of
so
me
you drop
not
a sandbag.
Yeah, I can give you an example of me not knowing the rules. So it was actually at West Virginia World Championships. So I come up to the rope climb, do my rope climb up there in 2, and then just jump from the top. And then the volunteer's like, "You can't do that." I was like, "What do you mean I can't do that?" He's like, "Penalty loop." And I was like, "Explain to me why." And then Matt Burke, who's like chief director of Spartan, he was there. I was like, "Matt," and he's like, "Take the penalty loop." I was like, "All right then." But that's me just clarifying. But like, when there's a sense of urgency, and this is the way we teach people, is like, hey, if there's a penalty being given, like, get on with the penalty. But in that moment, I was clarifying, because every other race, I mean, I hadn't raced for a year. I don't know when they incorporated that rule, but every other time I'm up in 2 and jump. And that's it. And I've witnessed many other elite races, rather than health and safety being in full force, where you need to have 8 points of contact and you need to slide down or whatever. But in that moment, it's a clarifying question that's going to be delivered very assertively for clear direction in response. And I can see from my point of view how people can be like, whoa, like, are you being aggressive? And Matt actually took it as me being aggressive. And he was like, take the penalty loop. And I was like, okay. But that was me genuinely clarifying. So maybe it's, well, in fact, it's partly our doing, because I want to go on to like ownership and accountability when we're talking about the emotional triggers inside of it. That's stuff that's within us. And when we're faced with things like that, it shows us a reflection of areas of life where we need to work on. And there's also been other things that I've mentioned online. It was fascinating. There's a number of people at Spartan Race this weekend that kind of give me the side eye and give me the squint and aren't happy with my presence because I've said certain things online to do with, I don't know, government stuff and whatever else. But what I want to say is, like, question that, like, question the root, rather than being a conforming, law-abiding citizen that just takes everything as gospel from the Bible without questioning it, and instead just being gullible to what we see on the media and whatever else. I'm not someone that's going to sit back and, I'm not bashing these things, but I served for 12 years in the military and was heavily part of an organization that is a system of control. And I see that very clearly now. In fact, I'm giving a brief to some military folk tomorrow. So,
That's going to go well.
like, leave the forces. Like, what are you doing? Create a mutiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more we see, the more we see. And really, what I'm trying to get at is just question everything. Question what I'm saying. Question what Sarah's saying. Question what you see on the media. Kind of gone off on more of a political thing here. But,
Standard.
We'll talk more about this, because the thing I found is when we are constrained or suppressed by our environment, it's hard to be the best that we can be in the sport that we love. An example of this was actually when I first started the sport. I was going through relationship breakdown, divorce. My ex-partner ran away with my child and just disappeared off the face of the earth and vilified me to be this bad person. A common theme in my life, but I've taken ownership and accountability for a lot of things, and that's what I'm still here doing. But the point I'm getting at is you can achieve great things if you channel the energy, and see everything in our reality as a reflection to where we're at and where we need to do work. And if we're facing challenges and we're not progressing within our sport as much as we'd like, me, for example, over the past, I'll probably say 3 years, and this year I've taken time out completely, is because stuff within my world, my lifestyle, was not working until that's addressed, and that's internal world as well as physical external world. But now things have improved with that. You can come out the other side. I mean, you can speak to this from your journey as well, because I've seen it in many people. You're faced with a challenge, you confront the challenge head on, but then that opens up a series of other challenges, and we almost go into this pit of doom, this area where we've plummeted and come at an all-time low, and then we can choose to sit and fester there, or actually we can start another ascent and go through numerous more challenges. But then when you get to the other side, you stood on this mountain peak looking back on everything you've overcome, and then looking into the distance at the horizon and the beauty of everything that's ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm more than happy for you to touch on anything from the past year. It is actually coming up to a year. Because I think it was December last year that I lost my job of, God, how long was I there? 5 years, 6 years. And things kind of, as you know, because we spent a lot of time together over Christmas last year, definitely spiraled. Fitness took a hit, but obviously it was off season, and at that point I was like, oh, it's off season, it's fine, like I don't need to worry about it, even though I know that now that off season is more important than on season, really. So yeah, like you say, like challenges will always come up, and sometimes it feels like it's the end of the world and everyone's doomed and everything else, but it's shifting that mindset and that perception and like just flipping it on its head.
Yeah, and that can be really, really challenging. I want to feed that back into what we were talking about with like the mirror and the reflection. You can see the challenge as something that's in your way and a showstopper, or you can see that as an opportunity to go through it and grow through it. But when you lost your job a year ago, that was really fucking tough for you. And that caused a lot of instability. Right? What do you do in that instance? Well, you double down your efforts to work on yourself more, and actually having that free time allowed you to do that, putting that into training and other aspects of personal development, which is actually really pivotal. And then alongside that, although it was still challenges, the positive mentality and reframing the negative into the positive. But it doesn't just happen like you click your fingers and that's it, it's all fine, or just shake everything off. You actually have to really, really go through it, like, and feel it in order to move through it and then heal whatever is present. And there's been a lot of like relational stuff there, which has been present, and it's the same for everyone. Like, the quality of our relationships determine the quality of our lives, and if our relationships with family, friends, partners aren't in a good place, that really affects our quality of our life physically in the external world, but then also emotionally and energetically in the internal world. And how can you expect to go out there and perform if all of these things are there? But yet again, the reflecting back to you what needs to change, and if change happens, you go with it rather than resisting it. And then I think really for many of us, it's been a year of letting go of previous versions of ourselves that are outdated, letting go of trauma, letting go of materialistic items and places, people, and that's been really, really tough. But on the other side of that is that beautiful view from the mountaintop. But then there's a bigger fucking mountaintop in the distance that you want to reach. So you're going to have to go through the shit again in order to get to the more beautiful summit.
It's more hill climbing.
Yeah. And we live in a flat area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. And then I remember actually, so kind of went off on a bit of a tangent and went more deep, but I think the point of mentioning this is going into, there's so much more than meets the eye with Primal. If you want it to be, you don't need to go down this deep route of personal development. You can just continue to focus on the physicality, and it's very dependent on who you are within the community. Like, you can really go after the national titles, you can go for world champs, you can really just refine your obstacle technique, or you can truly change your lifestyle and your health and put years on your life and get rid of a lot of stuff that doesn't serve you. So we're not saying when you come in, we're going to focus on all those things. We meet you where you're at and take you to where you want to be. And I remember a year ago, actually in October, we sat and we done a training day at the playground, and part of that was mapping out the next 12 months. You decided that you wanted to do the Spartan UK National Series. So do you want to talk through that process of what we did there, and then the intentions you set, and kind of talk through the year, and then kind of lead up to what you've just done this weekend?
Yeah, so that training day was quite an interesting one because I was getting my season pass, and I was like, I'm just going to go for the open races. And you were going through it, like we did kind of like a little bit of a classroom session, and you said, okay, why are you doing open? And I was like, well, I'm not good enough to do age group. And you were like, why? And I remember you saying, like, it's better to be bottom of the top than to be top of the bottom. And I was like, actually, that makes sense. And I've actually used that, like, with other people over the year, because I've had a few friends that have also raced, and I've said to them, just enter age group, like, see where you're at, because in age group at least it's competitive and people are taking it more serious, as opposed to the open categories. So I remember mapping it out, looking at the races, looking at what was coming up. I knew that I didn't have distance under my belt. The obstacle efficiency was fine, it was there, but that was my focus. So I booked age group, went into that, and then obviously went into off season. Did not train as hard and as good as what I could have done in off season, because
Why not?
Because I didn't think it was needed. I slacked off. No, I did slack off, but I had a lot of personal stuff going on, and although that's not an excuse, it is kind of an excuse, but it was there. It was very present. But then race season kind of very quickly came around, and I absolutely, pooped myself that I was like, I'm not ready. I was like, I'm running in an age cat that I was like, I don't know who my competitors are. I'd done no research on timings. I had no idea where I was at. But then I'd gone into the year thinking to myself, this is just going to be a base year. See where I'm at, first age group, first competitive year, just see where I finish, just see where I get to, and then have a strong off season and then smash 2026. Yeah, and I've done 2 supers, a beast, and a sprint this year, just due to the venues that I went to. There was a couple of weekends I didn't make. The beast actually wasn't as bad as what I thought it was going to be, considering it worked out to be 23k on a dodgy foot. Yeah, not too bad. Supers were fine. Obstacle efficiency was there. The sprint, which was the weekend just gone, not my strongest race, but it was still decent. But I think even as you said previously, obstacle efficiency is on point. It's progressed over the year that I've been training, but it's been in a really good place. The main thing I had to work on this year was my cardio. Have I done as much as what I could have done? No. Should I have done more? Yep, absolutely. But yeah, then that led to Pippingford just gone. End of race year, end of season, which is quite sad.
No, because we've got a nice lengthy off season now.
Get down the track.
Exactly. Exactly. I've got a question to kind of prod the hornet's nest. So we know like personal circumstances weren't the greatest, but when it come to doing the key cardio sessions that really would have moved the needle, what was present for you when you felt avoidance of those sessions come up?
I've got to be honest, I'm not sure. You're looking at me like you know the answer.
I'm just going to probe until I find it.
Go on. What do you think it was?
Well, this is the thing when it comes to this, like what we believe is on the surface often isn't really the root or the true reason, and is about bringing the unconscious. So it's unconscious at the moment, like there's not awareness around that avoidance, there's just avoidance. And therefore we know that if we do this would move us forward. So it's, well, it could be one or two things, it could be many things. It's like, is there fear of success, or is there fear of failure, and what does that look like? And then thinking about this from 2 different perspectives as well, and thinking about that mirror and all of the teachings we get from leaning into discomfort. A year ago you set goals to compete in a national series. Well, a number of possibilities there. You're going to exceed your goals, you're going to meet your goals, or you're going to fall short of your goals. But regardless of what happens there, by setting the bar higher in each of those anyway, you're going to learn. So if you win the national series, or whether you come last in the national series, you're still going to learn along the way. And that's the ultimate thing that we're doing. And then talking about the categories of racing as well, it's like if you're in an open heat, you're going to have the course clogged up by everyone, so you're not actually going to get the most out of yourself, because you're going to stand at slip wall for 20 minutes watching people fall off it.
Yeah.
If you enter age group, the field is more competitive and more open, therefore you can get a clean run with a pool of people overall and within age group. And exactly the same with elite. They're going to be fast. And we're saying this on Monday's call. If you want to get the most out of yourself, go competitive. The course is clear. I was thinking about when I was on Spearthrow, I was like, for fuck's sake, I'm literally the 4th last racer to come through this course. And I'm looking at the Spearthrow target, and it's like a bag of smashed up crabs that are like hanging off of a wooden frame.
Yeah,
and the chance of sticking the spear is minimal. And then also talking to the elite racers as well that run distance, like the course is as clear and as clean as you're going to get it, unless you're like the front runners and you have to plow down vegetation. But when we come through, the ground is absolutely obliterated because thousands of people have worked through it. So what's harder, carving the path and having a clear path and getting the best out of yourself and getting pushed along, or driven along by competitors that are going to do that, or get held up and run on harder terrain? It's self-explanatory, really. So I think when we looked at that a year ago, you're kind of like, actually, it's a no-brainer when we look at it that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back into bringing the unconscious into the conscious mind to have awareness of it, it's like we've got to start questioning where that comes from, because is it the fear of success or is it the fear of failure? And it could be either. And I don't know the answer. I'm not going to give you the answer because I don't know the answer. But this will be something for you to sit and ponder on, to gain an understanding. You could even technically do like the 7 levels deep why exercise on it. Why do I feel like when it gets to this particular session that I have this really, really big internal resistance? Yeah. What is that? And I even have this in my training. Yesterday, I was on the bike and I've set it all up. I'm going to do 45 minutes on the bike at zone 2. And I was like, fuck, 45 minutes seems like a long time. And it is when you just sat there pedaling away, listening to music. And I don't find it particularly enjoyable. So I don't say, oh, I've got 45 minutes on the bike. I say, okay, let's just go to 10 minutes, and then let's go to 15 minutes, and then let's go to 20 minutes, and you break it down. And then when it gets to the last 15 minutes, I'm like, fuck, I just want to get off this bike. But then I start talking to myself in such a way where it's like, okay, well, you've set on your program that you need to achieve this amount of time within this zone to get the desired outcome within this session, and do that again later on in the week and later on and again in the week to hit the minimum time you need to develop this energy system. So I was talking to myself of that because it's like, you've set this, you must do this, but still breaking it down in such a way. And then I can also think about other competition. What would so and so do in this situation? Okay, well, I know that I'm not that person, but I don't want that person to beat me, so I'm going to do this. So there's numerous things we can use with our psychology to trick ourselves into it, but it still doesn't make it easy, especially when we talk about all the other stuff that goes on within our life, and that was ever so present for you. So it's like, how can we expect to go and focus on those training sessions, like you said, if actually we have the stress of not having a job, not having income, not knowing if we can pay the rent, the bills, or you're tapping into your credit card and your family doesn't want to speak to you, and all this shit is going on. That's not conducive for top end performance, is it? So it could be that, it could be something, I don't know, within you that needs work, and it probably is that, and it might even be bigger than that. But the reason I mention this is because it's for all of us to cast awareness onto, okay, if we're experiencing avoidance, is this something to do with our lifestyle and the amount of stress we're going through? And actually, by doing this training session, we're going to push the stress over to another level, and it'll be too much. And therefore, it won't actually be beneficial for us or our training. Probably be better if we took a nap or went to bed earlier. Or it's something within us that is deeply rooted, but it doesn't mean we're going to gain the answers right away. So it's definitely something to ponder on, because now, like you just mentioned, is going to be a pivotal point for next year if you choose to compete in Spartan, which is a running race. So you need to do the cardio training and running in particular. That would be something I would suggest that you explore to find where the root of that belief or that avoidance comes from, so that you can work through that to actually find enjoyment with it. We'd done a podcast, I don't know if you'd listened to it, but it was, why don't people enjoy running and stuff like that? Why don't people enjoy cardio?
Yeah.
But then what can make that worse is, I don't enjoy that. Therefore, we're reinforcing that belief versus going, you know what? This is fun, even if it's not. It's really shit. There's a lot to it.
Yeah, there is. And I think it's also been because I've had the obstacle efficiency for years, even when I've been doing the sessions at the playground, I've never really had to run. So I can just mooch about the course, show an obstacle, mooch to the next one, show another obstacle. So I've never actually had to really do a lot of running. And then when I've been in the gym, it's more been about like the strength training and the grip training. So as soon as someone tells me to go and run, I'm like, ew, that's running. That's gross. But I have been, I mean, even over the last few months with like the change in my program and stuff, my running's come on is so much stronger than what it was just in a short period of time. But that's putting my trust into my coach, Mitch, to give me the right program, to give me the right tools. Obviously, it's up to me to apply them, but it's having that knowledge and it's having that why and the hows and everything else to be able to not get there quick, because it's not a quick fix and we don't want the quick fix. But it's, and we say this a lot within the team, it's like trusting the process. And if you come in, just trust it, like trust the process, trust what people are saying, also question it, but trust it.
Yeah. I think with that as well, it's having a program, a process to alleviate any additional stress in stressful situations, rather than going, okay, I've got all this shit going on, but then I know I need to train, but then I need to work out what I need to train, and then I need to do it, and you're trying to navigate it yourself, versus actually leveraging your time by having the program, having the process, and then you just show up and you execute it to the best of your ability. But on top of that, not beating ourselves up if you've got a 30-minute cardio session to do and you do 20 minutes. Don't view it as, oh, I fucked up and didn't do that. It's like, actually, I've done 20 minutes more than I had previously. And then that's really where the mindset piece comes in. And then also just moving on from that as well, going back into being a runner, all the obstacle stuff was there, but you've only really become a runner in the past year. So that's huge. And thinking about my performance over the years, I wasn't a very good runner. Like year 1, year 2, I became a better runner, but they were the first 2 years where I really ran. Year 3, there's probably too much inconsistency because of the pandemic. Year 4, I won the Spartan series in my category. So 4 years of consistently showing up to become a better runner, and still I'm working on becoming a better runner. So give yourself a pat on the back for doing something rather than everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's the expectation, and expectations can be really, really detrimental.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, that's for you for dragging me down to things like paces and stuff like that, which is at our local athletics track. And then, yeah, like I say, also to the coaches and the community, because so many people have been like, you need to get running. As soon as you up your cardio, you're up in your game. Like, it's going to just elevate it so much quicker, which, I mean, it has this year. Like I say, it was a base year. And then, yeah, to finish strong for the season, yeah, just shows how much it's got, like, come along in such a short time period.
Yeah, and it's exciting because from our point of view, by just continuing to do work in this area, like your performance is going to go through the roof. Like your obstacle efficiency is elite level. Yeah, and your running is in development. So yeah, talk about some of the results and successes and lessons learned from this year of racing.
So lessons learned, definitely need to work on my mindset when I'm out on course. For the most part, it's fine. But if I fail an obstacle like this weekend when I failed the rig, I was just fuming with myself because the rigs are something that I've been working on so much this year. I mean, to think like beginning of the season, I couldn't even do the rings. So definitely mindset, but that's come a long way as it is. So just got to keep doing that. Pacing has got to be another thing. Improvements have been made, but still a long way to go. But in terms of like positioning, so a few of the races I've kind of gone towards like the back end in my age cat, but I managed to finish 6th in my age group for this year out of I think 31.
Amazing.
So yeah,
That's pretty good going, right?
Yeah, top 10.
So what was the goal? What was the goal for the season? Was it hit podium or?
No, not at all. The goal for this year was literally just to see where I was at, just to run my races, do what I could do, pull some funny faces for the cameras as and when I could, support the team when I was there, represent Primal, and just kind of get a base layer this year. And then, I say, do a better off season this time than what I did last time, and then hit 2026 running. But yeah, to finish 6th in my first competitive year was, pretty impressive.
Yeah, you've done phenomenal. And based on this now, because more self-belief has grown, and I say this not just to you, but to other listeners, and also had a conversation with Greg last week about setting the bar higher. And throughout my time in the military, throughout my time in coaching and being coached, we would set ludicrous goals, like so high. Like one of them we used to call an impossible goal. So impossible is not possible; it's impossible, because it seems so out there that it can't be attained. But with that, it makes you shoot higher and go harder. So it really stretches you. And I set one a couple of years ago and I surpassed it by like 25%. So I'm mentioning this because going into the next year, set the bar higher. Like Greg was like last week, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to just get a top 3 in the national series." I was like, "Is that all you want? Is it? Okay, so that's the goal. But what about setting the bar higher and going for the championship? Like what's that going to look like? It's more probable that you're going to land in the top 3 positions than if you go, oh yeah, I just kind of want to, I'll be happy with this." Because this leads on to the overall like race mindset. And I don't think I really touched on it too much on Monday's call, but the psychology of someone that is racing for first place and they're in second place about to win a national championship or any championship is very different to the racer that's in 6th position who's gunning for 5th position. Like there's not as much drive. But when you're in 6th position gunning for 5th position, if you apply the mindset of someone that's in 2nd position going for gold, what's that going to do for you? I explained it to some of the guys called like command legs or like leaders legs, and this was a thing in the military. So whenever you were like leading something, an attack or whatever else, like you would have these fucking legs that could just go and go and go, and sometimes you look behind you and it's like, where the fuck is the rest of the section? Where's the rest of the platoon? And you're like gone up this hill because you've got this mindset of I can persevere and move through. It's like the overall psychology, which has a direct impact on the physicality. So it's a huge thing. So I mentioned that to apply that to your training, to apply that to racing, but also in the planning process as well. And to add one more thing on to ponder some more thought, it's like if that stuff is showing up on the obstacle course where there's the self-doubt, the negative talk, you're beating yourself up, you're not reframing things, you're not tackling the challenges as they come and moving past them as quick as you can, I would guarantee that is exactly the same in your day-to-day life, how you are in your relationships, how you are in your work life, how you are with your habits and your routines. So it's just highlighting in what's different areas. So when you look at a race, it's so much more than a race. It is a display of where you're at, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, definitely, I completely agree. I think a lot of it takes time, and that's one thing. If you guys are listening,
definitely it takes
and if
time.
you've listened to like other podcasts on this channel, it all takes time. Like, as much as people would love a quick fix, like you'd love
We're
to know
lying. It takes 21 days and you'll be a national
21,
champion.
yeah.
That's what we
22
do.
if you're
20,
full short.
21-day programs, because the best people in the community have done 21 days and that's it.
21 days, that's it. Yeah, absolute champs. But yeah, like, as much as everyone would love a quick fix, like, you have to work for it, and you have to work through stuff that you never thought you would have to work through. But it does take time, and we say obviously a lot about motivation and everything else. Like, yeah, there's an element of motivation, but it's the determination that actually beats it. It's like, okay, why am I waking up and doing this? Why am I going to do that training session? Why am I eating those foods? Why am I going to bed early? Why am I putting my phone on airplane mode? Why
are you doing any of that in the first place?
Why are you not doing it? Why are you not doing those things? But it's like looking at all of it. Like, obviously we had a conversation, like we were talking earlier, about like fizzy drinks and stuff like that, and people drinking fizzy drinks at like 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like, why are you doing that? And then you look at it and you're like, okay, that's not going to help me in everyday life, let alone in my racing. So it's like looking at different things. And yeah, obviously self-doubt is something that I've had, God, for as long as I can remember. And this year has been very much a big, I think I said it to you a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? Like, when you were away, it was like, this year has probably been one of the most challenging years, but the most like magical at the same time, for many different reasons. Yeah, but there's still a long way to go. Always will be. But gonna hit the off season strong, and 2026 is the year. What the goal's going to be, I'm not too sure yet. I haven't sat down and worked that out, but I think, just going back to my goal set for this year, I think I just didn't put any pressure on myself, because it was my first competitive year. That's why I wanted to just be a base year to see where I was at. And then, yeah, finishing 6th, I was like, yeah, I'll get podium next year. Get a few of them.
Yeah, exactly. And sustain that mindset. I think this is something that's overlooked, underrated, is going out there and having some fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we do induce too much pressure, and you see a lot of people in the elite field, a lot of people in tears and whatever else because they've not achieved it. It's like, we even saw this weekend the races, is like some races up on the podium and it looked like they just had their ass slapped. It's like, dude, you've just won a series title and you look like you got a face like thunder. It's like, are you actually enjoying this? Or
Yeah.
and this is the thing as well, like, we're all for the physicality and being the best that we can, but like, obstacle dominators is so much more, if you want it to be, than the physicality and the mentality. Like, it's not just about dominating the obstacles on course, which is really fun, but it's about overcoming the obstacles and challenges that we have in our life, which directly crosses over to your physical performance as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then that directly translates over to your personal life. And it's this whole positive feedback loop and cycle. But it doesn't mean that it's easy. The obstacles that you have to overcome if you choose. But if you want to experience exponential growth, then lean into it. And this is what I personally pride myself on, is not being the best at anything. Obviously, I like to be good at things, but being balanced in all aspects of life versus being extremely good at this, but suffering in numerous areas. And we're here to have fun, and yeah, this is a great outlet for it. I absolutely love the sport, witnessing people grow in it, but more and more conversations I have, and I was chatting to Greg again yesterday. I can't wait to have him on the podcast so he can share his story over the past 4 or 5 months. But he said to me yesterday, he was like, looking at the people that are at the weekend, is like, people don't see what is beneath the surface. They see a picture and like, oh, these guys are in great shape and they're doing really well at their races, but they don't see the significance of the lifestyle changes that they've actually made. And then on top of that, the benefits their loved ones, their family, the co-workers are all experiencing through them creating change in their own life. So yeah,
It's like the iceberg thing though, isn't it? Like you see like the top of the iceberg out of the water and that's all you see. It's like the smaller part of it, whereas underneath there's just so much more. So it's like that top bit is like, oh, it's the physique, it's the strength, it's the obstacle efficiency, it's the cardio. Yeah, great. Obviously you need all those kind of things to be able to succeed in the sport and to be able to get yourself around the course. It's a bit tricky if you don't have those things. But then underneath the surface, it's all of those things, but it's the mindset, it's the nutrition, it's the sleep, it's everything else that comes with it. And just going back to Greg, like, I mean, we've not even known him 6 months. Yeah, like, and where he's gone from like day one up until now. And yeah, I can't wait for him to be on a podcast because it's going to be amazing. His growth has been incredible to watch. And I say that about like most of the team, to be honest, like that I know. Seeing their progression is just, yeah, it's got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, for sure. I want to just talk about what you're saying about the amount of time it takes to actually create change, and not to like overwhelm people. Like, you don't have to do all of these things all at once. It's not like here's 10 things, you need to start working all of them now. It's like you said, year one, this is what I want to achieve. I'm not even sure what year two looks like, but I kind of feel like I want to focus on this. And then year three, oh yeah, I feel like I don't really know what's there because I don't know really where I'm going at the moment, and so on and so forth. But what happens over time is all of these wins, these successes, all of these lessons compound and then equate to big results over time. So it's good to cast out a view over many years, but really, if you just keep showing up with consistency, like, you just continuously grow, and progress is the thing that equates to happiness. If we're stagnating and not breaking through, that just means what was once working no longer works, and you need new strategies or new tactics or a new approach, or you need some change. But it's also being aware of that as well, because if something is working but you're the thing that's not working for it and making excuses about it, which I see many people doing, I've done it included, blame the system, blame the approach versus actually taking ownership and accountability, because that's self-sabotage. So yeah, there's a few things to it. Anyway, we're going to start wrapping up. Is there anything else you want to mention, or is there anything else you want to go over that you feel like we've not touched on that you feel would be important?
No, I don't think so. I think all I would kind of say is that if you have any questions, yeah, get in contact, because it's not just what's on the surface. Obviously, like I say, I saw a bearded fella running around an obstacle course and things just kind of went from there. So yeah, get in touch.
Yeah, we also have a lot of fun.
Sometimes.
Probably too much fun, not enough other stuff.
Yeah. Depends if Jack.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on. Yeah, I know I've done a lot of the talking, but that's pretty standard. I do a lot of listening as well, but obviously not in this episode. But yeah, thanks for your trust, your dedication, your friendship, and sharing this and these messages. And I'm excited for what's ahead in the next few months as well as the next year for your race, and it's been beautiful to witness your growth, and not just within the racing, just all the stuff you've been doing behind the scenes, the things you've been working through, the things you've achieved, and where you're really going next.
No, I appreciate that. Right back at you. Got 3 great coaches, great community, great group of people around me, especially my cheerleaders that came at the weekend, that were there in spirit as well. But yeah, all good things. The only way is up.
Yeah, no excuses, right?
Unless it's a hill. Done enough of them this weekend.
You just pace yourself.
It's just flat growing up, right?
Well, kind of. All right, thanks very much. Catch you later, guys.
That is it for today's episode of the Obstacle Dominator podcast. Thank you for listening. If you gained value from this episode or any others, all we simply ask is you share that with one other person. This one simple share could be the breakthrough that they need to get unstuck and start making progress again, and support more athletes to become healthier, happier, stronger, and faster human beings. If you feel called, please leave a review, tap the stars, give us a rating, head over to YouTube and subscribe, or just simply follow the show. These simple action steps go such a long way in helping us reach more athletes over time, and we'd love for you to be part of that. Proximity is power. If you are an athlete that's ready to take your performance up a level, then join us over on the OCR school. This is a community where you can surround yourself with the right people as you learn and as you rise. Learn from athletes who are not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, getting results, body and mind, everyone from first-time finishers to podium winners and champions. Until next time, keep training hard, keep living prepared, keep dominating the obstacles in life and in competition.